Hello, I'm Ryan, and welcome to Breakdown. Now, what you're about to watch is a video that was uploaded on my other channel, Shady200. It was received relatively well, and I've decided to bring that kind of idea over to my main channel in the form of a weekly release show. I just wanted to give you a brief introduction, let you know what's happening. In a moment, I will hand it over to Past Ryan. Please enjoy, and be sure to watch the other episode that was also uploaded alongside this one, where I do a critique of a film I made in 10 days for a local competition. Have fun. So it is currently 10:30 p.m. and I should be working on a client project. I should also be working on planning visual effect shots and writing a script for a short film that we have to do as part of a 10-day competition that starts in 3 weeks. I should be planning shots for that, making sure we're able to do the visual effects within the time limit. So I thought, hey, let's critique what I consider to be my worst ever film project. So what I'm about to show you isn't anywhere on any of my channels. I did want to finish it so that it would be on one of my channels, and I just realized it was a hot mess of a project, I guess is the least harsh way of putting it. So yeah, I wanted just to take everyone through, I guess, what I think of my student film. Let's just jump into it. Oh, that is cheap looking. Off the bat, the idea of coming out of the TV was cool. Oh. God damn, that was so out of focus. Still, focus. What is focus? There's zero sound effects there. One there. That there is not... A, the text has no noise applied to it, and B, that's not microwave font. Oh, this is when I tried to do the Edgar Wright zooms. They were done in post-production, obviously, because... I want to cancel that train of thought, because I don't think any of this opening shot is in focus. I'm watching it again. It's there's not a single image in this opening shot that is in focus. It is blurry and just rubbish. Like, I know we filmed it. We started filming at about 8 or 9 in the morning, and we were really eager to get it done in one day, so we shot till about 10 o'clock at night. It was a stupid huge task for all of us and the actors. I know my cinematographer, my mate that was doing the cinematography, he went home at about 5 o'clock. My other friend that was kind of helping out as well, he left at about like an hour or so after that, so it was just me and the 2 actors doing all of these shots at about 10 o'clock at night in my apartment. So it's not really an excuse for being out of focus and trash, but oh my god, that's just it's so bad. This wasn't even the intro to the film. My teacher at the time said that we should have a really an extended introductory character sequence. So I wanted to emphasize that their life was trash, and the first 2 minutes of the film was just slow and dull and boring and just awful. So in this version, when I thought it was still going to be the best thing ever, I cut it out, and it just starts off the bat, and I can see why my teacher was right now, because there's just... I mean, yeah, you're straight into it, you know, you're excited, but you have no idea what's going on at all, and I failed to convey that. So this shot here, the spin around shot, was actually really interesting to do. We were trying to, my dad made a tricycle for the camera to sit on, so it was kind of off-road worthy, and it still picked up all the bumps, and we couldn't stabilize the image at all. And then we're just like, oh, let's just drive the car around in a semicircle and get the shot. But then someone, it was me, had the brilliant idea. We're like, oh, my friend, your phone, it shoots in 4K. Let's use that, because the camera only shoots in 1080p. And that was back when neither of us knew anything about lenses, and of course an iPhone image quality. Yeah, it's 4K, but it's bad 4K. So it's just... But we shot it quite early in the afternoon, and I managed to color correct it to daytime, so I'm pretty happy with that still. And of course there's the god-awful CGI tower in there. And this is when we actually filmed at night. Spot the CGI in that picture there. Is it obvious? Because I don't remember it being this bad. Again, the noise on the CGI, I mean, it sticks out because obviously there's like no base or anything that attaches it to the wall. It's just sitting there, but again, at the same time, it just sticks out because there's just no noise or anything over it, so it's a CGI object.
The lock looks like it needs a voice-activated code.
I bet it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Also, with that, the idea of the voice-activated code, we were trying to rip off Hot Fuzz, where Edgar Wright did some really funny visual humor, and the code for the weapons locker is just 000. So we're like, hey, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. But then we're like, oh no, we can't make a button thing, so let's make it a voice-activated code, and you have to say 1, 2, 3, 4, and it just is so... It's just so cheesy.
I was joking.
Again, CGI. The dialogue and performance from the actors is just awful. I mean...
Could have killed him, put in an elevator?
It's partly the way I wrote it, and it's just awful. It's partly the way they performed it, because I couldn't direct actors at all. The idea here is that we wanted to convey that they were going down stairs, so we're like, hey, let's just stick basement 47 on the wall, and it kind of works, but then I do the American comedy thing where I explain the joke, and it's just bad. Obviously, this is just a still shot we put the servers in, because it was, I believe, originally... I was standing on a ladder, just hand-holding the camera, and I got 3 seconds of footage of me shaking the camera. Yeah, that's good. That's good. We'll use that. And of course, it was unusable, and we couldn't track it for the CGI. So we cut the shot, but it didn't really work the way I wanted it to. So we put it back in as a still, and it shows, obviously. So that's the dick butt reference, because that was a popular meme in 2015, and we're like, ha ha, dick butt, yeah, let's go in. The color grade is completely different. That's awesome.
So why is the internet so slow?
Here's funny. We didn't have a green screen large enough to fit the actors on, so we had to roto them for this entire sequence, and it was so much work, and I hadn't done a lot of roto at that point. Like I'd done a lot of roto, but it was the wrong way to do rotoscoping. I was doing it the most difficult possible way, and I continue to do that here. And that is why this shot, which is relatively simple to roto, it took me about 2 months and is still unfinished because I was bad at it. I'm still proud of this shot. This shot is still in my show reel, just because it's neat, it's clean. I mean, it looks like a proper CGI image, and if anyone's seen my show reel, you'll know that the back room there is fake. Obviously, I just duplicated the room, but I think it looks pretty good still. I should probably remove it from my show reel because it's 4 years old now. Obviously, that was a still image just there. I don't know why the TV monitors are changing. I don't know why there's a gap on the screens where the image is peeling off from the corner. Really awful green screen because we didn't know how to do shutter speed for green screen then. Also, all the cables, we had one cable and it looked really bad, so I went back and digitally put cables in my hand, and it's really bad for that one frame, I think, where my hand is still in the middle of the screen. But when there's motion blur, it's honestly not bad. I think it would sell if it was just a straight pull down. And then obviously we shot me in front of a green screen, and you can see all the green spill there, because what even is the green spill tool in After Effects? It's a one-click green remover for green screen spill. Like, who even knows how to use that? Again, unfinished roto. Also, this shot was horribly exposed because we didn't know what exposure was, and we didn't think to correct for overexposure, going from the completely dark room to the bright white room. That was just obviously a keyboard that I spray painted silver because I didn't have time to make proper props. We had something really fantastical in mind. Also, I tried to shoot it from side on so you couldn't see that there was no port there, but I couldn't set the camera up properly for that, so you can see the bare bones of the prop, and it's obviously not plugged into anything. We actually reshot that because the first one he was just pressing random buttons and didn't look like he was typing anything.
Okay, we're connected. Time to watch something.
Also, you may have noticed, we reshot stuff, and the main actor got a haircut in between the 8 weeks that we shot the two scenes. It's so bad. Again, that shot just drags for so long. That looks awful. No computer screen looks like that. That was fun. We bought a leaf blower for that. Yeah, it was just fun to do. You can see the reflection of the leaf blower. Again, oh god, that's overexposed. I've been talking for nearly 20 minutes and we're 2 minutes into the film. I apologize. The door's meant to be the door there in the background. It's not because time. There's also no door there because we shot handheld and it couldn't track.
Wait. Now we can watch anything we want anytime.
Bad exposition. So that's me. Obviously. Oh, Borderlands reference. I forgot about that.
I'm so glad that you asked.
This is all just awful exposition and awful acting. We originally had an older gentleman come down and portray the bad guy who's like, yeah, I'm a big shot actor, we do all this stuff, and we're like, we shot, and he's like, I'm happy to come down tomorrow if you need, and of course I hadn't edited the film by the next day, so we didn't know that our initial fight scene was awful and too short, and we needed to redo the whole thing. But then he got really angry and wouldn't come down for reshoots. He's like, I want petrol money, I want all of this, I deserve to be paid. And we're like, well, petrol money, fair enough. Food, fair enough. But I can't afford the money that you're asking. Like, he was asking for hundreds of dollars. And I was a student. So I was a student with a job that I worked 10 hours a week at. So I was as broke as any other student. So I couldn't afford what he was asking. So I had to step in for his role. And obviously I do a much worse job. That joke I'm still pretty proud of. I still have the lightsabers that we made. Well, they were meant to be internet sabers. We tried very hard to work out an effect that looked like internet, kind of an internet, like a digital data beam. But we just couldn't get anything that didn't look flat. Like the lightsabers, they have the core, they fade off. They don't look flat. All the data connection speeds that we tried look flat. And I think there was one earlier where I pulled out my lightsaber. It still had like part of the data effect on it. But when I sculpted the lightsabers, the CEOs, it's kind of like a Japanese katana. We had like a katana. I tried to do a katana weave, but it's more just like a wraparound of like the old phone line cable, and it's got some gnarly looking spikes on it. The white one there, it's got like one of those flexible keyboard circuit boards around it, so it looks kind of cool. And then the blue one, the dial-up one, we called it the dial-up saber, but we actually designed it when I made it. it's got a wooden handle, so it's meant to look like an antique. And of course, dial-up is old, so that was the joke there. And I'm still pretty happy. I still think the dial-up effect is funny. I think that's good. I'll give myself props there. That is just, the color correction on that is awful. I didn't realize this render had broken links to effects.
Yeah.
For those who didn't catch that, I left the camera audio in, and we got the shot. That was my friend swearing at finally getting the shot. That was nice.
Jim, can you disable the firewall from the terminal we just...
Again,
Yeah, but it might
awful, clunky exposition that doesn't make sense. We had someone writing an original score for this, but I told him to stop because why bother? Oh, jeez, I haven't I managed to color correct it down significantly, so it looked not as overexposed, but it didn't work. These shots were all on the trike that Dad made, so it did kind of work fairly well on the flat floor. We got some interesting shots, but they linger for so long. Okay, missing dialogue there.
go there.
Missing effects. I don't know which one of the team did those shots, but there's no color correction on the flare there. It should be purple, and you can see the border of it where it's clipping the edges of the screen. Dragging for so long. We tried to replicate the shots from Empire Strikes Back, but obviously my pose is awful because we couldn't work out how to fit it in the count. Like that, we just couldn't fit it aesthetically within the frame. We couldn't, like, they would have shot, when they shot Empire Strikes Back, they would have shot with a lens that probably had a little bit wider field of view. And they probably would have shot from a little bit further back and then zoomed in a little bit, perhaps. But they would have had the main thing is I think they would have had a wider angle lens, but we had just the basic camera lens. So I had to kind of bend my arm awfully, like at a really awful angle, and kind of go, kind of like, so really something like awful, so that we could fit my arm in shot. And we got missing effects. So the scene is that they're giving internet back to the country because the evil overlords that run Australia took it all, but that's not very well conveyed anywhere. Except in that one massive exposition scoop that the bad guy gave when he was introduced. Those effects are bad. I tried to convey to my teammate that was doing them. I'm not trying to lay the blame on everyone, but I tried to we're all just really bad at being visual effects artists. And I was a bad director. I really made my team hate working with me. Like, yeah, I feel like they were being a little bit overdramatic and a little bit petty, but at the same time, I was a very bad motivator. Like, I wasn't used to running a team. The point of the tangent is that I tried to convey that here's a 3D model, so the TV lines wouldn't be flat. And I think I pissed him off so much that he didn't care. Obviously, he didn't care because they're just like that. So there's real clashes with communication on this project. Really good acting there from me.
Sounds good.
Ooh,
I need to charge my phone for Facebook all this. Oh, hey, that reminds me.
bad closing dialogue. This film's got it all.
I hate to get home and have no power.
That perspective. I obviously just stuck something in there so it wasn't a green screen to just like convey the shot. That perspective is not... I don't want to look at that anymore. I forgot about the Sherlock Holmes credits. We left the music credit out because we went through so many composers, and then we found one that actually made something good and wanted to be part of the project, and I told him it was trash and we weren't going to finish the film because it doesn't belong anywhere. But we had fun composing my next film. He did an amazing job, and the soundtrack he produced for this, minus the Sherlock Holmes theme, because I just stole that. Yeah, we had a really... the next film, we filmed the next film, which was Time Bomb, while I was still editing this. And that was just infinitely better. And the real big kill for this film was, if I release it, it's going to be worse than Time Bomb, and I don't want it to look like I'm taking steps backwards. And that was the thing that really stopped this project. Time Bomb, I still think it's one of the best things I've done, but that technically is just because it's in focus, there's half decent sound, and I think it sets out to be the film that I want it to be. There's some good visual humor, there's some good gags, the dialogue's pretty good, in my opinion. Yeah, there's stuff wrong with it, but it is orders of magnitude better than this. Nothing is worse than this. But at the same time, there is a lot of things I did right with this. Like, you'll see a lot of indie films. I watched one just the other day, from some actors and people, locals that I know, local filmgoers like me. But I noticed the editor, every time there was a scene transition, it would dip to black. And I asked these people, how many films do you watch where they scene transition by dipping to black? The answer, there's none. And if any of you are going to be a smartass and say, oh, I found one, it dips to black here, does it do that for every single transition? And if it does, I don't know how it got made, because that kind of editing is just bad. But I'd also like to share some things that I learned from this project, because there's a lot of filmmakers, I feel, they make a film and it's one of those things that's got bad editing, bad sound design, but due to the nature of a competition, like the 10-day competition, it gets praised because they made a film within 10 days and it showed. So I feel like there's no learning from that. You made a film, it was praised, let's do the same thing. So all of their films tend to be of that quality, even though they're not part of 10-day competitions. So in failing with this project, like if this project had not failed, I would still be making films as bad as this. This is the film that kind of taught me how to direct and how to use a camera and how to light and what focus was and all of that kind of jazz. So even though I hate this film, I will be forever grateful for the experiences I had during the making of this film, because I wouldn't be anywhere near as good. Like, I'm not saying I'm amazing, but I would be nowhere near as, my skill set would be so vastly different if this project was successful. So the experiences that this project has brought me, I am just going to be forever thankful for. But my plan, I guess, I'd like to keep critiquing my own films. All my other short films that I've done are public. I think I'm going to... This is the worst film I've ever made. So I feel like I'm going to start with this one here at the bottom and go from worst to best film, in my opinion. But that being said, if any of you would like to suggest one of my films that I've done from either this channel or the ImageFlex channel, which is my new main channel where all my good films go, if anyone would like to suggest a film of mine for me to critique instead of the next worst one, which is my first ever Tropfest entry, I Am He, which was like a first-person GoPro one, That's going to be really interesting to critique. But if anyone would like to see anything other than that next, drop it in the comments below. And if you like this kind of stuff, I'll keep on making it. And if it gets 12 views, chances are I'm going to be procrastinating over another project next week, and I'll do another one anyway. But thank you for watching, Paul.